I'm Jackson Burns. I'm the Redneck Archaeologist. Today we're doing a little bit of archaeology, a whole lot of archaeology. So I want to show you some things about the ancient indents. We have different little arrowheads here from different eras, different years, different times, different decades, different centuries, all that good stuff. We have a little bit of pottery. We have a rubbing stone for like either grinding food or for smoothing out leather. So we're going to show you some really interesting finds, and then we're going to show you something that has never been seen before on camera. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay, here we go. In the old days, I'm going to pull my hair back. Do I look better now? Pull my hair up. My hat up, my hair back. That's it. In the old days, the oldest days, the primitive days, back in the prehistoric days, before there was writing, maybe some Frenchmen drawing on the walls over in France somewhere, the natives were, and those guys too, everyone I guess, was just into the habit of making stone arrowheads. And so this is an example of one of the more primitive arrowheads from way back when. Let me get over here, maybe you can see it better there. That's it. Yeah, that's one of the early, very, very primitive. And as things went on and time went on, the years went on, they got smarter and smarter. They started developing a little bit better. This one here has got a little bit of damage to it. There's another good one. Not too bad, another good example of primitive. And they started building even nicer, napping, what they call napping them out, making them looking very more pretty. This is probably more like a spear point, a little bit bigger, until they got to this. And then this would be more modern. This would be probably in the 1800s, late 1700s, 1800s. This is where the Indians really, or the Native Americans really got their napping skills going and could really develop some nice little points, spear points. There's all different kinds. Let me show you this one. This is a nice one here. This is a very, very, very nice piece. There's some other ones. Bird points are usually the hardest to find. That they're born for. They are rarer, more rare to get. So you can see the difference. With a bird point, they're harder to find, harder to see, of course. Let me show you some others. Here's a pretty cool example of an onyx arrowhead. Not too many of those because they shatter real easy, but they're really cool for cutting. And as they went along with their napping skills, of course, they got more developed. This is a drill bit. Let me try to hold it to where you can see it. It's an actual drill bit. Attach it to a stick, turn it upside down or whatever they want to do, and put a bow on it and run it back and forth, and this would drill them out. Now, I saw in Mexico City at the Museum de Anthropology, or the Museum of Anthropology, I saw in Mexico City at the Museum of Anthropology where they had actually used these to drill holes in people's heads, and people survived for many years afterwards because there was evidence of bone growth. So this was used for many applications, medical and ordinary everyday use. But I saw in Mexico at the Museum of Anthropology 3 skulls that were ancient, that they had holes drilled into them, and there was bone growth. And this was the type of drill that they used to drill into their heads to relieve the pressure, I guess blood pressure or whatever their doctors in those days did. Anyhow, they would have 2 people hold the subject down, or 3 people hold the subject down, one on his legs, one on each arm, and then the medicine man would take the stick, apply it to this, and a bow, or with his hands, rub it and put it on the guy's head, forehead, And they would first cut the skin open, put this onto the skull, drill it, and relieve the pressure, whatever, get all the way through to the brain membrane, then lay the flap back over, the skin flap, sew it up, and these people would live for several more years. There's evidence of that in Mexico City. So, we're going to go to the next. This is a fish hook. Very, very unusual fish hook. Turn it this way, it looks different. But anyhow, this is a fish hook for fishing, made out of flint, napped out that way. You can see the positioning here that you can, the little grooves that you tie your string off into to let her down into the water. So you got a natural weight and a fish hook at the same time. As time went along, the natives were very, very superstitious, and so they started making pottery using items, such as this. This is actually a lamp. They would actually put grease or animal fat grease into this, and then they would put a wick into it in order to let it sit on fire, and it would burn, light their home. They made different types of pottery, and these are the original real pieces of pottery. You can still see the lines, the grooves, and all this in it. This is about, it's at least, I believe it's at least 1,400 years old, minimum. This is from Teotihuacan in Mexico. Several pieces here. There's a nice little piece there. And Teotihuacan was abandoned 750 years before Cortez arrived in Mexico. So this is, this could be all the way up to 2,000 years old. This piece. Some more pieces. This is nice. You can see the edge of the pottery. More pieces of pottery. Broken shard. This is the stone that they use to rub on deer skin or hides to smooth them out, are also used to grind corn and grain. You see it's been flattened out. Now, one of the most interesting finds that I've ever come across or whatever, is this little bit right here. And this is the amulet for El Negrito. If I come up close to you, you can see the face. And this was what is thought to have been a fellow from Africa, a black man, who somehow or another went across the ocean and wound up in Mexico, or Central America. And this is a very powerful amulet that they used for religious purposes. They would tie this leather string, have the leather string go through it, and they would wear it around their neck for protection. Somebody lost this somewhere about 2,500 years ago. This amulet is about 2,500 years old. Bring it up closer for you to look at. This has been authenticated. 2,500 years young.